Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. We're picking up where we left off yesterday. This is part 3 of Top 11 Real Estate Agent Mistakes. And as Julie and I have decided, the subtitle of this little 3-day series is, You Didn't Take the Listing, Why Not?
That's exactly it. So you're going to find out, and then you can do something about it.
That's right. So the point of this is to really open your eyes to the fact that at the end of the day, being a listing agent is really no different than anything else that in your lifetime you've become efficient at. It's just doing the same thing over and over again. Like Julie and I were doing kettlebell torture, as we've come to not lovingly call it, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's taken, and we're putting pictures of us torturing just so we can prove that we're sadists like we claim to be.
Suffering.
When it comes to gym workouts. So we're putting them up on Instagram if you guys want to check those out. Tim and Julie Harris is the Instagram handle. But the thing that we're learning that's an interesting experience because it is it's confirming or validating, even at a higher level, the importance of everything, frankly, that we spout off about on this podcast and our books and our coaching, right?
Yes.
You know, even if we're like Julie and I we haven't gone too long in our lives without basically staying on some sort of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial regimen. We've been living very disciplined lives, and you'd think that we start up a new physical thing with these kettlebells that we'd just snap right to it. Hell to the no.
No.
It is so hard because there's so many little micro nuanced things. Well, today, Julie and I both had breakthroughs. And again, we videotaped it so you guys can watch it. It's on, again, Instagram. And what it was is after 2 or 3, how many sessions have we had with him? 4?
I think this is number 4.
Okay, so after 4 sessions, he was, and we knew what he was doing, right? But he was essentially with every single class, every single session for an hour, he was adding weight, making it heavier, and then introducing new micro steps and leading up to what we were able to successfully pull off today. And when you look at what we're doing, it looks really simple because we're just swinging this stupid weight, But when what you don't see are all the screw ups and all the, oh my goshes that went into getting to the point where we actually can do it at the level that we can do it now. And that's just the first step. And like doing this kettlebell workout thing, there's probably 30 different exercises. And Julie and I have now learned probably 25% of one of the exercises.
Yes, lots of micro steps, micro coaching. And yes, you're right. I think when you watch somebody do it, maybe not us, but somebody that knows what they're doing, it looks much more smooth. And, this is not, I think it's our 5th class, actually. This is not the first time we've touched kettlebells either.
No, but we were doing it wrong, honestly.
That's right. And so that demonstrates the difference between thinking that you kind of have it figured out versus somebody, our trainer, clearly this is his thing, right? And so he can look, he's always asking me to say, well, what are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? But he can look at you in 30 seconds and say, correct this, straighten that.
Well, more like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But the thing that's fascinating, too, to your point, is that this really is exactly like becoming a listing agent. Because Julie and I had done kettlebells before, but not really, I guess is the nicest way of saying it.
Yes.
And the people that taught us before did not have his level of expertise. So before, I would say Julie and I were sort of winging our kettlebell workout.
Yes.
If you want to.
Without really knowing it necessarily.
Right. But we were doing pretty much everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But we're it's no different than agents who essentially don't ever invest in themselves to learn how to become powerful listing agents.
That's absolutely right.
And
you don't know what you don't know.
And they wing it, and they basically, go online, or they'll take some class, or they'll listen to some trainer on YouTube, and they'll patchwork things together, and they think they'll essentially be prepared to go on a listing appointment, and then they don't take the listing. And the amount of effort and time that goes into getting the listing appointment in the first place, to lose it, not win it, that can be devastating psychologically to a lot of people and leads them right back to buying leads. I didn't tell you this, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
So Cardis, the Relo company?
Yes.
They are now charging 42.5% referral
Holy
fees. Right.
That's incredible.
So think about when you and I were selling real estate, they were charging agents like 30%.
28.
28, yeah. So now it's 42.5%.
Wow.
So if you're an agent and you're taking a referral from Cardis, you're going to pay your broker whatever you're going to pay your broker, which is probably going to be, I'm guessing, at least 80-20, more like 70-30.
Probably.
And you're giving away essentially 75%, 80% of your commission before you even paid yourself anything. And why do people do that? Because they don't have a choice. Because they don't know how to do anything else. Because they don't know how to actually generate their own business. That's why they do it.
That's right.
Because agents don't know how to, they have not yet invested in the ability to go out and proactively lead generate, let alone become powerful listing agents, which lead to obviously proactive lead generation, which leads to taking listings. That's what hiring a professional coach is all about. That's what when Julie and I hired this kettlebell guy, that's the reason that we wanted, like he wanted me to do 25 pounds today. Which, by the way, I should have listened to him. Because then I tried to do it at 35 pounds thinking, well, I can handle a higher weight. And everything was wrong. He said, do 25 pounds. I said, I don't like doing easy things. I want to do the hard things first. And he said, fine. He stepped back, let me do the 35 pounds. And my form was terrible. Then he said, now you're going to listen to me, do 25 pounds. And my form was exactly the way he wanted it to be in the first place. That's coaching. And so when we're going through these mistakes that agents make when they're pursuing being listing agents, let alone becoming very successful listing agents. These are all avoidable mistakes had you been trained properly the first time. So stop wasting time trying to shortcut a shiny object your way through your real estate career, because that's not the way a professional acts. That's not the way somebody who's serious about obtaining, let alone retaining and building on success behaves. A real professional, somebody who's really serious about wanting to improve whatever skill set is that they know that they're lacking, they're going to hire the best coach that they can find, and they're going to do what that best coach says. They're going to, essentially repetitious boredom pays off. They're going to suffer through the micro steps, so the combining of the micro steps one after another equals what you're really trying to accomplish. That's what coaching is all about. That's what we do for a living. That's what we've done for the past 2 decades. And in the industry, I think it's arguable that we're the best at it at this point, especially when it becomes to learning how to become a listing agent.
Yes, and we do appreciate how loyally you listen to us. We know you do, but keep in mind, what we do on the podcast is just exposing you to these ideas.
That's right.
This is the overview. This is not the drill down. So if you're thinking, and we appreciate if you're feeling like you're getting enough from the podcast, then we're doing a good job. But it's not going deep enough to move you to the next level. That's the difference between what you're doing now versus having a coach look at you personally, just as our kettlebell coach looked at us and said, you know what, Tim, you got to fix this, and Julie, you got to fix that, because they know much more quickly than you can discover on your own.
Yeah, and when you do it right, the funny thing is when you actually do the whatever right, and leaning into kettlebells again as an example, it's so much easier than when you were doing it wrong.
Yes, and likely less painful for you and probably the coach too.
Yeah, well, exactly. Painful for him to watch, but that's the
Yes.
truth. When you're doing
Yes.
something, you're following a system, you're doing all the, you're holding kettlebells, and everything in life is more mental than it is physical. And so when you're doing the mental stuff right, and then your body follows, it is less painful, it's easy, and it feels natural, even if you're holding some 70-pound weight over your head or whatever. It's the same way when you follow a system when you're becoming a listing agent.
Right.
Or
and
when
you can build from there, right? You can't build until you have the initial skill set.
That's right. So here we're going to move on to where we left off yesterday with point number 8. Julie?
Yes, point number 8. So remember, this is part 3 in a 3-part series. Get caught up if you missed the first 2. Point number 8, you didn't use a pre-listing package, or your pre-listing package looks like everyone else's. Without a great and proven pre-listing package, you're signing yourself up to hear objections at the end of your presentation instead of closing at the end of your presentation. Handle all the objections before you get there, so all you have to do is talk about pricing, answer some questions, your light presentation, and close instead of the reverse. So Tim, what's the point of a pre-listing package? Some of them are saying I already got it.
The pre-listing package is your silent salesperson. Your pre-listing package does all the pre-selling for you. The pre-listing package answers all the tough questions that most of you are essentially using as your excuses not to actually pursue listings in the first place. It's going to overcome the question, why should I list with you? It's going to overcome the question, the objection about commissions, about all the different types of nuanced things that you guys are so fearful of. Your experience level, how many houses you've sold in the area, essentially all the important things that sellers, frankly, don't always ask, but a lot of them do. And it's also going to cover some of the touchy-feely things that are going to make it like, what are you doing in the community? How are you giving back? Here's your resume. All these types of things are in there as well. That's the point of a pre-listing pack. The pre-listing pack is, the way we've designed it, we had this professionally designed, we update it maybe once or twice a year, but the essence of it is they're indexed pages. Every page in the pre-listing pack is designed so that it can be pulled out, but the pre-listing package and the way we've designed it and the content that's in it and how we've worded it, every single thing is done for you. You don't have to do anything. So if you get called out on a listing presentation today, what are you going to send ahead of time? A bunch of gobbledygook that you're going to shove in a folder. Why not have something that you're going to send ahead of time that's going to do the pre-selling for you? When you combine that with the pre-qualification script and you follow our 7-step listing process and you send the pre-listing pack, you also include in addition to the pack itself, I'm saying this mostly for the benefit of our existing clients, make sure you're including the extra pages that we ask you to put in there, including the CMA, including the net sheet, including the listing paperwork, including the seller survival guide. Put all that stuff in there ahead of time in the folder that is the pre-listing pack. And you're going to oftentimes walk into the seller's house. You're going to have seen that they've read the pre-listing pack. You're going to then discover that they don't have any questions for you other than let's agree on a price and get the hell out of my house. I mean, that's what's going to be your experience. And there's not going to be a lot of stress or pressure for you to worry about overcoming objections. The thing that you're living in fear of is self-created because you do not follow a system. It's self-created because you do not pre-qualify. It's self-created because you do not use a pre-listing pack. You don't have to have a bunch of fancy scripts and you don't have to have a bunch of NLP Jedi mind trips. You just have to follow a professional system. That's what our listing presentation is. That's what the complete coaching program is. Many of you are ready to join our coaching program. We've made it very easy for you. Text the word Premier to 47372. You can also just go over to our main website, timandjulieharris.com, and click on coaching and join Premier. But frankly, on your phones right now, or if you're on your computers, just text the word Premier to 47372. That'll get you to the head of the line. You can join Premier Coaching on your own immediately off of our website or off of your phone. And depending on how you join, it's only around $100 a month. And that will entitle you to our complete system, A to Z real estate system, from lead generation to team building to all the pre-qualification scripts, every single thing that you will need. You might not know you need it yet, but you will find out that you do need everything we're including in the Premier Coaching Program. So just text the word Premier to 47372, and we'll text you back a link that you can join. Do not wait on doing this, guys, because what a lot of you are going to do is you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to join Tim and Julie Harris's coaching. I'm speaking to you right now, aren't I? You guys are about to say something that'll make you laugh. But I'm going to hold off, and I'm going to not join their coaching program until I actually have a listing appointment. All right, boom, you have a listing appointment. You're listening to our podcast right now on your phone. You get a text. Somebody wants you to come out. You don't necessarily, it's not your, a friend or a family member. It's something you're going to be having to compete for, that listing. You're not ready. So then you're going to panic. You're going to join the coaching program. You're going to then say, how fast can we get my pre-listing pack done? How fast can we do that? It's too late. You're not going to learn that fast because there's a lot of steps necessary before you actually, you have to get stuff. You have to be prepared. You have to pre-qualify. You have to download the script. You have to ask the questions. You have to listen to the coaching and training so you know the reason that the questions are in the order in which the questions are in. Guys, do not wait until you have to all of a sudden find yourself, going to essentially going to battle without being prepared. That is in essence what you're doing if you've not joined the coaching program today. So text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. Remember, message and data rates may apply. All right, Julie, point number 9.
So point number 9, or mistake number 9, you didn't close at all. So if you find yourself walking out the door saying something like, okay, I'll follow up in a few days, you're not closing. Now, remember, what is the definition of close? It is the logical ending to a great presentation. So if up until this point you have not actually had a great presentation because you're not using a great pre-listing package, maybe you didn't do a great job pre-qualifying, maybe you showed up late or you fell into any of the other previous mistakes, closing is much more difficult. Again, closing is the logical ending to a great presentation. When you have a great presentation as the result of your pre-listing package, Closing is simple.
Well, the pre-listing package basically removes all the, the questions and the fear from the seller's mind, and frankly, makes it so you can walk in being much more confident. And then we do have a listing presentation, which is, by the way, very short, involves a red pen and a yellow tablet of paper. It's very simple, but you follow the steps. Again, existing coaching clients, do not skip steps. Listen to the training about what happens when you essentially going on a listing appointment. Your pre-listing prayer, what you're supposed to do when you knock on the door, what you're supposed to do with your shoes, what you're supposed to do with your briefcase, what you're supposed to do with your phone. All these little nuanced things are like what Julie and I were describing earlier when we were talking about being trained to properly work out with kettlebells. If you skip any of these steps and you don't take the listing, it's because you shortcutted it. It's because you weren't attentive to the details. We're telling you how to get the results that you're after. Don't try to think that somehow magically you can shortcut it or figure it out on your own, because you're just going to end up losing. Point number 11.
Point number 10.
10.
Yes. You overdid the pre-qualifying and talked yourself out of the listing appointment. This is a common mistake we see amongst coaching clients where, okay, they didn't confirm, so you didn't go. Well, maybe they were driving home from work, right? Or you used the pre-qualification script, and when you asked them what price they had in mind, they were 30 grand higher than your CMA. So you decided to trash the appointment. Don't overdo the pre-qualifying. That's a common thing when they start using the script. They'll kind of take it overly seriously.
Well, it's because for the first time ever, they're not uncomfortable talking to a seller, and they're in control, and they go on little micro power trips.
That's right.
And they then start basically, and they're all, this is an analytical thing primarily. This is who the analytical types will want to do this. And so then they'll start looking for little reasons why they shouldn't go on the listing appointment because they're afraid to go on the listing appointment. And it'll, in this market, frankly, it's not so much as like it is in a normal market, but just follow the questions on the pre-qualification script. Don't wing it. Don't try to figure out your own questions. Just follow the process. Ask the question, get the question answered, go to the next one. That is preparing you for the next step that comes after that, which is sending the pre-listing pack. Don't skip steps. Don't try to create your own system. Point number 11.
Yes, point number 11 encompasses a lot of things that your pre-listing package will solve for you. But point number 11 is you weren't prepared for any or all of the common objections, like, I've never heard of your brokerage, or I'm considering bigger name companies, or I'm probably going to list with somebody I know from the neighborhood. I'm going to list with my friend. I'm also interviewing the agent who sold me the house. I'm not sure I can move since there's nothing for me to buy. We did a whole podcast on that one. Why do I have comps that you don't have? That was a previous mistake. So here's a couple of secrets for you. Always research your competition. Who sold them the house? Who markets their neighborhood? Whom did they say they were interviewing when you used your pre-qualification script? You did use a pre-qual script, didn't you? Here's another secret. Always know the stats on those agents. What's their expired rate? How long have they been in the business? How many listings did they sell versus buyer sides? Do they have any suspensions to their license? Of course, the biggest mistake of all is not having enough lead generation in place to have any listing opportunities so you can earn while you learn. So the fact is, you don't have to be perfect at everything to be a successful listing agent, but you do have to be perfect about some things. So start to polish your listing skills by improving some specific items. And you can stop me anytime here.
Go ahead.
But of course, generating the lead in the first place. Following up furiously fast on that lead so that you're the one that gets the appointment. Use a proven pre-qualification script every time. Of course, all of this is included in our coaching. Send a proven pre-listing package every time. Use our proven 7-step listing process. Always show up 5 minutes early. Ask questions and deliver your presentation based on what's important to them. We talked about that yesterday's podcast. Follow up relentlessly if you didn't get the listing at the appointment. And of course, join Premier Coaching to help you achieve all of this faster, more effectively, and become accountable for building these skills.
So coaching clients, future coaching clients, I've got a question for you. Knowing that what we're saying, and I know you intuitively know what we're saying is true, why would you make it more difficult on yourself and try to, create your own system? Or why would you struggle or fight with your logical brain telling you that this is the path forward for you to become a listing agent? Why would you do it? There's really only one answer. It's because you're not that serious about your real estate career. That's the only answer. Because if you were really serious about becoming the best version of yourself as a listing agent, this is naturally the next step for you. It obviously is. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to wing it. You're going to try to patchwork quilt your own thing together, which is the very definition of a hobbyist. That's someone who's an amateur. They're not serious about wanting to, ascend the mountain as fast as possible. You're winging it basically. That is, you can wing it. You can do that, but chances are you're going to be real estate roadkill. Remember, guys, Well, I'll tell you some interesting facts. Julie and I predicted this a couple of years ago when COVID hit, especially after we saw lockdown starting to be a thing. We knew there was going to be an enormous increase in new licensees because what else are people going to do when they're sitting at home? Make babies and, basically get real estate pre-licensing done. And those two trends are exactly what happened. In addition to that, and Julie discovered this stat, there were more new businesses that were started during any time in recent history. There was a massive spike in LLCs being formed, which was pretty awesome. But the next thing that's going to happen is all these people with all their pre-licensing are all going to get their active licenses, and the market is going to be flooded with new licensees. Right now, according to National Association of Realtors, there's 1.6 million members of the National Association of Realtors. That is a high water mark, and there's more coming, and there's going to be more coming after that. Real estate, unlike, say, maybe even 10 years ago, has become something very aspirational. It's a desirable career. There used to be this sort of nasty USA Today poll that was done every year, the most to the least respected professions. And real estate agent was always fighting for the least respected profession with used car salesman and attorney, if I remember correctly. And most was like firefighter. Most respected was like firefighter and nurse and things like that. Well, the whole thing is getting flipped now. So you're going to see a whole new generation of people that are coming into the business who've been watching HGTV and Bravo TV and have been all over Instagram and see real estate being a successful agent as essentially a career path opposed to a fallback thing that you do when your plan A and plan B and C didn't work out. And that's going to make it so that your competition on the essentially on the buying buyer leads thing is going to be worse than it ever has been before. And the cost of essentially the referral fees, we just told you Cardis is now charging effectively 43%. That into the business is going to, because there's so many new agents that are getting the business that don't know how to be listing agents. And if you're a new agent getting in the business and you're wanting direction, here's the thing. If we never cross paths, just remember I told you this, don't wait to become a listing agent. You don't have to pass through the fires of Modor before you're actually allowed to list houses. Do it immediately. Do it urgently. You don't have to join a team or buy buyer leads or do all this other silly stuff that people are essentially they're pissing away their opportunity to be very successful in this business. Go directly to the head of the line and become a listing agent. I mean, that's really, we've been saying that forever.
Yes, and one of my favorite comments was from one of our newer coaching clients who came to the Facebook Live session. He said, I've been looking around and I see what these buyers agents are having to go through. I'm opting out of that. I'm going to start with listings. And you know what? Within, I think it took him about 30 days, he had not one but two listings, which are both now pending. So that's somebody that gets it and has decided, you know what, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to believe what other agents tell me. You've got to pay your dues and you've got to earn it and this and that. He's like, I'm going straight to being a listing agent.
There's the market viability or the market opportunity, if you really want to look at this from an analytical perspective, and being a buyer's agent right now as a sole source of business. That's your focus. You love working with buyers. You love houses, blah, blah, blah. In most markets, not all markets, there's some markets where you can actually, we were talking about this yesterday, Jules, or like out in Arizona.
Yes, some places like maybe Albuquerque, San Antonio, kind of what we think of as maybe a secondary market, not the primary city you think of for that state. There's a lot of new construction in those areas. Mm-hmm. There's different regulations for different states, so some of them have a lot more to choose from. But by and large, most of you are still suffering from lack of inventory.
Yep. So in some markets, you can still actually do a decent job and make a decent living and earn, frankly, a decent commission off selling buyer sites. But for the vast majority of you, it's not like that anymore. And the bell has been rung. And it's just good. So as more agents get into the business, they're naturally, most of them, not having any skills that are going to be attracted to buyers. Because as Julie always says, working with buyers is physical labor, working with sellers is mental labor. In other words, a skills-based approach to business. And they won't have the skills, so they're going to be attracted to working with buyers. And again, working with buyers is easier. Everybody knows that. I mean, easier from a skills sense. And that's not a difficult thing to work. If there's lots of buyers out there that love to buy a house, that'll always be true. Mm-hmm. But what you're going to see is the number of people that are in the business increasing. In what you're experiencing is that. And then those of you who think you're going to be successful buying buyer leads and you're going to be able to make ends meet, maybe you've been doing that since 2007, 2008. That's been your primary source of business, buying buyer leads. And you may have formed a team around bought buyer leads. The whole thing is around bought buyer leads. Well, what's happening now? The lead quality is going down. And there's lots of reasons that is not just, that's true. That is absolutely positively true. The lead quality is going down. Number two, the number of people willing to buy those lesser quality leads is increasing. So there's no motivation for the lead generation companies to do a better job providing you guys leads because they got like 10 buyers or 10 agents buying buyer leads for every one lead. So there's no motivation there. And what they're really doing, which is insidious, is they're then going to start charging, 25, 35, 45, percent commissions or referral fees. And don't you think it's not going to continue on the way up? Because many agents have never learned how to generate their own leads. They're passive lead generators. They buy their own leads. And so they're going to stand in the line, give more and more of their money away. And they're just going to be emotionally attached to, I sold a house, not the fact that they lost money selling the house because they, frankly didn't make any profit after taxes and expenses. This is what's happening in the buyer agent side of the business. Not everywhere, but for the most part. Now, it wasn't like that before, and it probably won't be like that after this market readjusts over time, which won't be anytime soon. So in the interim, guys, absolutely positively become listing agents, because the listing side of the business is something that you can control. You can control it through your skill set and your being a professional. It does take skills. It does take dedication. It does take learning how to swing the kettlebell correctly and possibly hurting yourself. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not just whipping your credit card out and buying a lead. You actually have to have the skill set. But here's the beautiful thing about it. Once you have that skill set, you own the result. When you buy buyer leads, you're always going to be beholden to the company selling you the buyer leads, right? What if they change their mind? What if they change their algorithm? What if they changed anything? What if they go out of business? And that's your source of business. Boom, gone, out of business, along with them. That's what happens with you. If you're a listing agent, if you know how to proactively generate your own listing leads, you control your own destiny. You wake up in the morning, through our coaching program, we teach you, I guess it's easily 20, but realistically, there's probably 7 or 8 really solid ways that don't require too much, extracurricular work, ways to generate listing leads. And, the obvious ones we talk about in this podcast all the time and some lesser ones. And none of these leads cost you anything. In other words, these leads are free. There's no referral fees attached to any of these leads. This is not some backhanded way for you guys to be suckered into some sort of, web of lead selling just on the listing side. Nope. This is something where we teach you the skills, and then with those skills, you go out and proactively generate the business yourself. You are dependent on yourself, which gives you a sense of freedom, because as you get better at it, every single day, you will see yourself improving, provided you stay the course. And then over time, less time than you might imagine, you start taking listings on a regular basis. You start selling listings on a regular basis, and you all of a sudden are this powerful listing agent that other people can't, where did she come from? She must have somehow had an inroad. She must have know all these people from, some sort of bowling league, or how is she getting all these listings? They won't understand that you took a skills-based approach to the business, because frankly, they'll maybe not have discovered this podcast, or maybe they did and they, stumbled across Julie and I. Chances are that they have at this point. And they just said, you know what? Tim and Julie are asking me to do real work, which will require, work. And I just much rather basically slap my credit card down and buy some more buyer leads and hope for the best. That's not the approach for anybody that's serious about their real estate business.
Well, it's not sustainable. If we were to interview each and every one of our listeners, which would you rather have? 3 active listings right now, or 3 super needy buyers? What do you think they would choose? Which lifestyle is easier, right? So of course, listing side is scalable. You can handle as many of those and still sleep well at night with the rest of the market, all those buyer agents scurrying around trying to do the showings, right? Especially those of you who live in snowy, nasty weather right now.
Well, even super hot, And
well, that too, right?
We lived in Austin, Texas, and that's,
in the summer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. What would you rather be doing, right? So, of course, the lifestyle of the listing agent is vastly superior. You all know that right now, because who's winning? The listing agents every single time. So do the right thing and sign up for coaching so we can help you get there faster.
Text the word Premier to 47372, guys. Don't think about this anymore. Don't look for shortcuts. Just essentially, it's time to suck it up, Buttercup. Speaking of Texas, that's a great Texas saying.
It is.
And do the real work of real estate. Become the person that you were meant to be, provided you put in the effort to become that person. You know it's true. Intuitively, you know it's true. Naturally, you know it's true. Every single fiber in your being knows what we're saying is true. You know the shortcuts are lies. Stop being tempted by them. Do the real work of real estate. Become the person that, 30 days, 3 years, 6 months, and in the future, that you look back upon and you say, wow, I'm really proud of that person. Tomorrow's my birthday. And Julie and I were walking back from the gym. Julie's birthday's on Saturday, by the way, listeners. And we were walking back to the gym, and Julie and I were sort of taking account of the last 10 years of what we've accomplished. And it's really, amazing, to be honest with you, considering where we came from. But every single thing that we have that we can look back upon that we've accomplished in our 31 years of marriage all goes back to, and this is the bottom line, learning how to be powerful listing agents. Because the discipline of learning how to be a powerful listing agent fed everything else. That is the very tenet of how to not just be a successful business person, but how to be a successful person, period. Because it's a skills-based approach to life. It's about doing the real work. It's about having the confidence of knowing that you're in control of your destiny. And guys, that's how we are hoping and praying all of you will come to think, so that you too can make this your dream profession, opposed to just being more real estate roadkill.
That's right. So the decision is yours. You can either have the business happen to you sporadically using hopium, which is not a plan, or you can be in control of your business and your destiny. So now's the time to make that decision. Don't wait any longer.
And yes, we're doing a podcast tomorrow on my birthday.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And back at you, lady.
Yes, thank you.
You guys have a fantastic day. And by the way, if any of you are looking to give Julie and I birthday presents, I just thought of the perfect birthday present. 5-star review on iTunes.
Yes.
That's where you guys give us a 5-star review on iTunes, or if you're listening to us on our YouTube channel, which more people are discovering, please also consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. That helps as well. But definitely 5-star review on YouTube or on iTunes or on Spotify, wherever you're listening to us on. Please give us a 5-star review. We certainly appreciate it. And it tells the witchcraft and alchemy that's controlling iTunes then basically decides to allow more agents around the world to learn about our podcast. This is the #1 listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. And we sincerely appreciate the honor of being your real or soon to be real estate coaches. You guys have a fantastic day. We will talk with you on the show tomorrow.